Welcome to the Health Channel, all health, all the time. I'm Kathy Buccio, coming to you live from the Baptist Health South Florida studios. And in the coming hour, we are talking about dermatology and protecting our skin from the sun. Now, sunshine is considered the single biggest cause of visible aging. But you don't have to succumb to the damaging rays. And even if you haven't been sun savvy in the past, there is hope, because some is reversible. And it's never too late to start protecting yourself from and your skin from the sun. And joining us is sun savvy Dr. Deborah Price, a dermatologist with Baptist Health South Florida. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Price.
My pleasure.
I feel this is a topic that everyone can relate to, and I am sure patients come into your office and sun damage being the #1 worry. Is this true?
Absolutely. Sun damage, both with regard to skin aging and with regard to skin cancer, is a big thing in South Florida, and that's why it's so important that we talk about how to protect our skin from the sun.
How early should we start going to our dermatologist and getting our body checked?
You know, it really varies depending on your risk factors. There are some people that have greater risk factors than others, but I think everybody should probably have a dermatology visit when they're young, when they're in their teenage years, and then depending on their risk factors, they should continue to have them on an annual basis.
And I like to point out that some of it is cultural as well. There have been so many cultures that idolize the sun as a god, but just like a mythical god, the sun brings both beauty and danger. And you may see a tan now, but you could have a burn or a premature wrinkling and skin cancer later, and that's never good. The National Institute for Health explains how to avoid the sun's wrath. Let's watch.
The sun helps your skin make vitamin D to keep your bones healthy, keeps your mood elevated, keeps your sleep schedule regular, and even grows the food and nutrients you need to survive. But too much sun can lead to sunburns and other damage you can't see. In addition to visible light, the sun makes UV or ultraviolet light. UVB rays will often cause a tan or sunburn, while UVA rays go deeper and can damage your skin's natural growth, repair systems, and overall appearance. As you age, it's naturally harder for the skin to repair itself, which is why you get wrinkles and lines. If you get too much sun, you can speed up this process, so your skin ages earlier.
The outer layer of the skin gets the greatest sun exposure, but the deeper layer is composed of proteins that will strengthen the skin. These proteins get damaged by the persistent sun exposure. Instead of giving you nice, strong, clear skin, they'll break up and give you the wrinkles, and that's the deeper layers of the skin.
Eventually, all that sun exposure can lead to skin cancer, the most common type of cancer in the U.S.
Examine the skin and make sure that you're aware of what type of lesions are present or not present. Freckling may be very prominent in some individuals. Particularly concerned about pigmented lesions, brown or black lesions, or those with irregular size or shape.
The best way to protect yourself from the sun is to wear protective clothing and to cover up. But using sunscreen is a great way to enjoy the sun and still protect your skin. A sunscreen with an SPF or sun protection factor of 30 means it would take you 30 times as long to burn. Apply sunscreen 15 to 30 minutes before sun exposure and apply generously and often. Generally, you should reapply every 2 hours. But water and sweat will make sunscreen less effective, and the effects depend on the strength of the sun and your skin tone, so you may want to reapply even more often. Sunscreen can expire too, so check the expiration date.
Some studies that were done in Boston have shown that just exposing the hands to about 20 minutes of sunlight is sufficient to produce enough vitamin D.
You can also get vitamin D from food and supplements. Ask your doctor if vitamin D supplements are right for you. And be sure to avoid tanning beds. These are very harmful to your skin and give you more of the damage with less of the benefits of sun exposure.
Tanning is not a good thing. So if you are tanning, that is one of the ways that your body responds to damage from the sun.
The sun is great, but it's undeniably powerful. Even though it's so far away, its effects are all around us, both good and bad. The best way to avoid sun damage is to limit your time in direct sunlight.
If your shadow is very short, then you should seek shade, because the sun is pretty much overhead and it's going through the smallest amount of the atmosphere. But later in the day, as your shadow gets longer, you would need less protection.
Cover up, embrace the shade, and wear sunscreen. Just like the effects of the sun, your future is closer than you think.
And lots of great information in this video. And we're going to talk about some of those ways to stay safe and keep our skin looking healthy. But first, Dr. Price, let's start with looking at the layers of our skin. Something that's fundamental to learn more about what causes the skin damage from the sun.
Okay, so we have 3 different layers of the skin that we need to think about. The first is the epidermis, or the most superficial portion of the skin, and this is where a lot of skin cancers originate. The second is the dermis, where we have our collagen and elastin, something that keeps our skin looking young. And of course, the deeper layers, the fat and the muscle beneath the skin. So those are the layers we need to think about. And with regard to sun exposure, we really need to think about the epidermis and the dermis.
How does the sun damage the epidermis and the dermis?
So basically, the sun rays, the UVB and UVA rays, damage the DNA in the cells, and once they do that, our body tries to correct that, tries to fix it, but it can't fix it all. So it fixes what it can, and what it can fix creates mutations or abnormalities in our cells that cause them to grow abnormally and develop skin cancers.
Now, for those that don't know, what is the difference between a UVB and a UVA ray?
Okay, so they're really, when you talk about UVB and UVA, you're talking about different wavelengths. So the UVB rays are the shorter wavelengths, and the UVA rays are the longer wavelengths.
So those are the ones that penetrate deep into the skin.
Correct. Well, they're both important, right? Because
Right.
UVB causes a sunburn and can cause skin cancer. UVA penetrates more deeply and plays a big role in skin aging.
And it's not just a sunny day. On a cloudy day, we have to also protect ourselves from the sun. And I think that's a misconception. They say, it's cloudy, I don't have to wear sunscreen today.
Absolutely. You know, one of the dangers about clouds is it gives us a false sense of security. And 80% of the rays go through on a cloudy day. And people that don't oftentimes forget to wear sunscreen on those days. And we oftentimes see more sun damage on a cloudy day than on a sunny day.
Another misconception that we were talking about during the break is having a base tan. Having a base tan is safe. I think it's smart, and most people get one just before they go out into the sun.
There's no such thing as a safe tan, a safe base tan, and base tans don't protect us from the sun.
And tie that into tanning beds. These are horrible.
I can't think of anything that's more dangerous to the skin than a tanning bed. Tanning beds are the leading cause of melanoma. They're one of the 2 largest causes of skin cancer. And in addition, they age our skin. So tanning beds say no to tanning beds.
We don't want them, absolutely not. And our lips, so often we forget our lips. I have been guilty. I know some members of my family have been guilty of not wearing protection for their lips. Why is that?
Well, you know, the lips are actually, particularly the lower lip, is a very common location for skin cancer. We see more of that in men than we do in women because they don't wear lipstick. Some of us, because we wear lipstick, have a certain natural barrier protection. But it's important to think about the lips and to protect them, because squamous cell carcinoma, one of the most common types of skin cancer, frequently develops on the lower lip.
What about sunglasses? They're not just a fashion statement. We need them to protect them from our eyes from the sun as well, correct?
Absolutely. The sun damages our eyes. It's responsible for cataracts. And so I think that, you know, protecting our eyes from the sun is really important.
Now, often you see your patients and they may have a sunburn. So how are sunburns treated? I mean, this is damage to your skin, intense damage done to your skin.
Absolutely. So I think that the first thing is to prevent it. If you can possibly prevent it, I think that's the way to go. But if you can't prevent it and you've gotten a sunburn, I think the important thing is to put a moisturizer on your skin, to sometimes take an anti-inflammatory agent like aspirin or Advil, and put some cool soaks and such on your skin to kind of take the heat out. We also have in our offices these special LED lights that can reverse some of the inflammation from the sun and may reverse some of the damage that that is caused by a sunburn if you're kind of close to a dermatology office and you can get there quickly. But I think the key thing is to prevent sunburns, because if you have sunburns, sunburns put you at risk for melanoma. So the best thing is to avoid them, but if you've got them, that's how we treat it.
Let's quickly touch upon that again, because I think it's important to note that some of the sun damage can be reversed. It means if you're watching this show now and you want to start making changes, you can.
Absolutely.
And not just the LED lights, anything else that we can do to start the process of correcting some of the sun damage.
Well, I think the first thing we can do is wear sunscreen, because I think, you know, regular use of sunscreen has shown to really improve the quality of the skin, because the skin has a certain innate capacity to repair, and then of course there are things that we do in dermatology offices that can also repair the skin and make it look better. So I think both of those are important.
Great information, Dr. Price. Being sun smart is key to preventing skin cancer. But what can you do to be sun smart? Stay tuned to find out. You're watching the Health Channel, all health, all the time, on South Florida PBS. Please visit our website, allhealthallthetime.com, where you can submit questions for the experts like Dr. Price or watch videos from previous episodes. And if you have a question for Dr. Price, please call in. The number is 855-796-4475. We would love to hear from you. I'll be right back.
C stands for cutting-edge research, clinical trials, and collaboration. Creating breakthrough treatments as Florida's only member of the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Alliance. At Miami Cancer Institute, C also stands for Cure, world-class cancer care right here at home. Learn more at miamicancerinstitute.com.
In Saudi Arabia, a genome research program is leading to major advances in precision medicine.
The Saudi Human Genome Program was facilitated by advances in technology, which provided us with the basis to rapidly sequence the genomes of individuals to understand the basis of disease, and this became easily related to the health and welfare of patients.
It's already helping doctors to more precisely diagnose and treat diseases like cancer, Alzheimer's, and diabetes. For more, go to thermofisher.com/precisionmedicine.
C stands for courage, collaboration, compassion, and cutting edge. With the most advanced radiation treatments, including proton therapy. At Miami Cancer Institute, C also stands for Cure, world-class cancer care right here at home. Learn more at miamicancerinstitute.com.
Emily is thinking about taking a dietary supplement. She knows she should try to get her vitamins and minerals from the food she eats, but she doesn't always have the chance to eat right. And with more than 50,000 dietary supplements on the market, like a lot of other people, Emily has questions, like how much vitamin A is good for you and how much is too much. If something's natural, doesn't it mean it's safe? Can folic acid prevent birth defects? Should we be taking calcium and vitamin D supplements? Luckily, there's a place everyone can go for answers. It's the website of the Office of Dietary Supplements. We're part of the National Institutes of Health, and since 1995, we've been conducting, funding, and evaluating research that we use to educate the public, giving Emily plenty of information she can share and discuss with her healthcare providers. We're ODS, for what you need to know about dietary supplements.
Welcome back to the Health Channel, all health, all the time. I'm Kathy Buccio, coming to you live from the Baptist Health South Florida studios. And I'm here with Dr. Deborah Price, a dermatologist with Baptist Health South Florida. And if you have a question for Dr. Price, please call in. She will answer all your questions using the toll-free number 855-796-4475. We would love to hear from you, and so would she. Now, one of the things that we were just mentioning is that with sun damage, sometimes it's difficult to convince a younger patient to protect their skin from the sun than it is from an older patient, because the damage, you don't see this damage until later on in life, correct?
Absolutely, and I think that's one of the challenges we face as dermatologists, is to really convince people that even though you don't see it now, it's going to happen later if you don't protect yourself. So it's critical that young people as well as old people, all of us from baby onward, need to protect our skin from the sun.
And we have a graphic that shows us how to be sun smart, and we're going to elaborate a little bit on that, Dr. Price. Give us some examples of ways that we can be sun smart.
Right. So I think the most important thing to do is to protect your skin in every way possible. So the first thing is to apply a sunscreen, to apply an SPF 30 to 50 broad spectrum sunscreen, to wear protective clothing, to try to avoid midday sun exposure, to seek shade when we can.
The worst sun is the midday, correct?
Right. The sun is the worst between 10 and 2, so we want to try to avoid sun during that time. Of course, we should be aware that the sun also goes through the clouds and reflects off the sand and reflects off the water, so we need to be careful about that. We don't need to get skin cancer and skin aging in order to get vitamin D. You can get vitamin D in a pill, you can get it in fortified foods. You want to not try to get it from the sun. Of course, number one, avoid indoor tanning. It's a big risk for melanoma and skin aging. And really look at your skin, become familiar with the lesions on your skin. If something looks strange, if something starts to become symptomatic, if it wasn't there previously and it's there now, get it looked at.
All important points. I'm excited about this portion of our segment because we are going to be talking about what to look for in sunscreens. And we are constantly bombarded with different brands, different SPF numbers, different ingredients, and it can be overwhelming. So let's break it down for us. What are your favorite products? What should we be looking for when buying sunscreen?
So I think the most important thing to look for is a sunscreen that has at least an SPF of 30, and probably 30 to 50 is the good range. That it's broad spectrum, which means that and that terminology is often on a label, that it protects against UVB as well as UVA, and that it's either water resistant or very water resistant, because there's no such thing as a waterproof sunscreen.
No such thing as waterproof.
No such thing as a waterproof sunscreen. So we need to understand what that terminology means. And I think those are the three things we look for a lot in a sunscreen.
Now, one of the things that I look for or I see a sunscreen that says sport, and I see a sunscreen that doesn't say sport. Am I supposed to buy into the sport because it's better?
Well, I think first of all, we have to understand that there's no regulation of the terminology sport. So sport probably means, but we don't know if it means this, is that a sunscreen is very water resistant. Now, what does that mean? That means that a sunscreen will be effective for 80 minutes on the skin. So what happens after 80 minutes? We don't know, but we should probably reapply it. So I think that if you're going to do an outdoor activity that involves sweating, and if you're going to be running or doing outdoor sports, I think using a very water resistant sunscreen, because that's terminology that is FDA regulated, is probably what we should look for.
And can we go to the rules of applying for a second? Because I think that's another one we get in trouble with. I have been guilty as an individual and as a parent. Do not apply right when you get to the pool or the beach, correct?
Correct. You have to apply your sunscreen 15 to 30 minutes before you go outside.
Okay, and that is because?
Because it needs to get absorbed into your skin so it can take effect.
Duly noted. So Hawaii recently became the first state to ban the sale of sunscreens containing coral-harming chemicals. How can they be safe on our skin if they're not safe on coral?
Well, fortunately, the reason that they're safe on our skin is that the FDA has determined in human studies that they're safe to our skin. But there are some chemicals that do bleach the coral reefs, and certain sunscreens that contain these chemicals are now being banned in Hawaii. And so I think for people, for an environmentally conscious person, and maybe for us here in South Florida, we need to think about that in choosing our sunscreens.
So what do we look for in the sunscreen? Let's get back to that. And any specific ingredients, anything that we should avoid?
Well, I think the thing, if you want to use a coral reef or reef safety sunscreen, you really are looking at mineral-based sunscreens. And these have always been my favorite sunscreens before all of this. And the reason for that is that these sunscreens work.
Can you show us which one of these would be a mineral-based?
So this will be a mineral. Actually, all of these sunscreens are mineral-based because I'm a big fan of mineral-based sunscreens. But they differ in that some of these sunscreens are tinted and some are not. And we can talk later about the value of that. But I think that mineral-based sunscreens have the advantage that they're less irritating to the skin because they work by taking ultraviolet light and reflecting it, which is something that, rather than taking ultraviolet light and converting it to heat.
And now, in addition to the sunscreen, we're seeing a lot of clothing being made with SPFs, not just rash guards for kids, adults as well, bathing suits as well.
Correct.
So talk to us about the importance of wearing these protective clothing.
Well, I think protective clothing, particularly for our kids, is a great thing.
Yes.
So UPF clothing is clothing that has been shown and tested to protect our skin against the sun. And we want to choose something with a UPF of 50 or higher. The reason for that is it doesn't have to be reapplied. So at least we're covered with regard to the parts of the body that we can cover with clothing, which is very good. Also, for reef-sensitive people or people that are concerned about the environment, there's less sunscreen to apply, right? You cover most of your body with UPF clothing, and then you just have to put sunscreen on the areas that are...
You're being eco-friendly.
Exactly, exactly.
We do have a video from the Mayo Clinic explaining the importance of wearing these extra layers of protection when you are out in the sun. So let's take a look at that.
You're heading out the door for a day of fun in the sun with your family. You grab the sunscreen because you know a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 30 is going to protect your exposed skin from getting burned. But most people don't know that skin covered by clothing can still get sunburned.
Natural clothing without sun protective factors will have an SPF of approximately 1 to 4 based on how tight the weave is and how breathable the material is. So it actually does not give you that much sun protection.
But Dr. Don Davis, a Mayo Clinic dermatologist, says there are special types of clothing that will protect you.
Industry has now allowed the integration of a weave of microfibers into certain clothes that allow it to have a UPF, universal protection factor, that's equivalent to SPF of sunscreen.
She says UPF is even calculated the same way SPF is.
If you can spend 50 minutes outdoors with the piece of clothing before developing mild redness versus 10 minutes without, you would have a protective factor of 50/10, which is a UPF of 5.
More great information about protecting ourselves from the sun. One of the things I want to mention about these sunscreens is that we are also seeing it in so many forms. We see it in the sprays, we see it in creams, now there's sticks. So which one is the best sunscreen to wear? Which one's going to last the longest? And which one's going to give me more protection? Give us more protection.
Well, first of all, the best sunscreen is one that you're going to wear. So, you know, it has to be cosmetically elegant and has to be something that you're going to be comfortable wearing. But I think depending on where you're applying it and the activities that you're doing, different sunscreens are better. So, for instance, if you're all by yourself and you need to put sunscreen on your back, a spray sunscreen may be the best choice. If you're a runner, somebody who spends a lot of time sweating and doing sports outside, using a stick sunscreen is better because they tend to stay on the skin better and not drip in the eyes. Sometimes I even tell runners, you can put a cream below your eyes and a stick above your eyes. But for everyday use, I think generally lotions and creams are preferable, and I find that those spread evenly, and they're also, you tend to apply them more completely because you can actually, it's just easier to apply a lotion than a spray where you can miss some areas.
Is it better, is it true that wearing cream, if you have children, putting cream on them is better than the spray?
Well, I think that you get better coverage in general with a cream. I also don't, if you are going to use a spray in children, I think you should first spray it on your hands and then apply it rather than have them inhale the spray. But I favor lotions and creams rather than sprays, except when you can't get to an area. It's better to use a spray on your back than to use no sunscreen on your back if you don't have someone to put it on.
Absolutely, and vitamin D, as we saw in the package, and you also mentioned, you don't need to, that can't be an excuse. You can't go out in the sun to get vitamin D. You can take a pill form, or as the video said, all you need is 20 minutes on your hands, and that consumes, that's absorbed by your whole body.
Absolutely. I don't even think you need 20 minutes on your hands. I
No,
think
20
you need to
minutes.
take a pill, eat it, don't put it on your skin, because that 20 minutes times 365 days a year damages your skin, increases your risk of skin cancer, and ages your skin.
And you brought a pill to show us, correct? This is a supplement, a sun supplement.
This is a sun supplement. So HeliCare is a skin health supplement. It's a supplement that is not a sunscreen. It does not replace sunscreen. But it has some anti-inflammatory and antioxidant activities that actually make it a great adjunct for people that spend a lot of time in the sun. But it is not a substitute for sunscreen.
Not a substitute. This
Absolutely
is not sunscreen in
so
in
you
a
can't
bottle.
get sunscreen in a bottle. But it does offer some additional added protection. And for those of us that are very compulsive about sun protection, this is a great additive.
Now I want to move on to something that's beneficial, not tanning beds, that's definitely not beneficial, but spray tans. And I know that I get spray tans. I go to Best Miami Tan, love my spray tans because I avoid the tanning beds. Are they safe?
They are safe. We don't have any evidence that spray tanning is dangerous. Basically, spray tans are a stain in the superficial layer of your skin, the stratum corneum. They're safe. There's some question about whether we should inhale them, though.
Right.
And so I think that my preference is to apply them as a lotion rather than to spray them. If you do go for a spray tan, you really want to not inhale it. You want to not breathe in the fumes, because we have some questions over time whether that is safe. But certainly that's the best way to get color in your skin if you want to have color in your skin.
Absolutely, and I don't ruin my skin, correct?
Absolutely.
That's wonderful. Coming up, we're going to focus on skin cancer. It is more common than prostate cancer, breast cancer, and colon cancer. But the difference is it's preventable. And if you have a question for Dr. Price, please call in now using the toll-free number, 855-796-4475. We would love to hear from you. You're watching the Health Channel, All Health All the Time on South Florida PBS. Please visit our website, allhealthallthetime.com, where you can submit questions to Dr. Price and watch videos from previous episodes. Thank you.
At Miami Cardiac and Vascular Institute, we're celebrating our 30th anniversary. 30 years of pioneering minimally invasive techniques. 30 years of hard work and dedication by our top-tier leadership and world-renowned physicians and clinical staff, creating a world-class comprehensive heart and vascular care center unlike any other, committed to our guiding principles of outstanding quality care, continuous innovation, and a drive to save lives. 3 decades of excellence are the foundation for our exciting new expansion, a state-of-the-art facility, a first-in-the-world environment, with the latest technology. Recognized as one of America's best hospitals, we're proud of our history and committed to providing the best care today and in the future. We are innovators. We are leaders. We are Miami Cardiac and Vascular Institute at Baptist Health, South Florida.
Welcome back to the Health Channel, All Health All the Time. I'm Kathy Buccio, coming to you live from the Baptist Health South Florida studios. And I'm here with Deborah Price, a dermatologist with Baptist Health South Florida. Thank you for coming back with us, Dr. Price. Thank you. South Floridians are spoiled with beautiful weather and endless sunshine, but the perks come with major health risks, skin cancer. And Dr. Price, is it true that 90% of skin cancer is caused by not just sun exposure, but tanning beds?
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about what causes the skin cancer.
Well, what happens is the ultraviolet rays, the UVB and UVA rays from the sun, enter the skin and they cause damage to the DNA of the cells of the skin. Our body tries to repair that damage, but unfortunately we're not able to repair it all. So that it creates mutations or abnormalities in those cells, which cause them to multiply abnormally and create skin cancers. Those rays also enter deep into the dermis of our skin and damage our collagen and elastin. And we all know what that does.
No, that's no bueno. So where on your body do you normally see skin cancer? When your patients come in, what is the most common area?
I think the most common areas are all sun-exposed areas. We see a lot of skin cancer on the face, but it depends on your activities, but we mostly see it on areas of sun exposure. However, we can also see skin cancers on areas that are not exposed to the sun, but most of the skin cancers are on sun-exposed areas.
Now, on those non-exposed sun areas that see the sun, how do you get cancer in those areas?
I think, well, I think some people have a genetic propensity to cancer, and they can get it in those areas as well. And we see this, we can see skin cancer underneath a nail, we can see it on the bottom of the feet, and we can see it developing in people that have abnormal moles on their skin.
When I go for my skin cancer checkup,
right.
You know, you check the scalp,
Correct.
you check under the feet, like
Correct.
you said. She's looking through my fingers.
Good.
All areas, these cannot be neglected, correct?
Absolutely. Any part of the skin can develop skin cancer. So I think it's important whenever you see something abnormal or see something new and different or symptomatic in any area, you should immediately get it evaluated.
It's also important to know that skin cancer can affect anyone regardless of color. Sometimes you hear, oh, I'm dark, I'm not going to get skin cancer because, you know, I'm naturally dark-skinned. But also people with fair skin, who have moles, if you have dark skin, these are all reasons or gives you a bigger proponent to get skin cancer. And a tropical address. We can't forget where we live. Is this true?
No, absolutely. I think one of the really important things to point out is that although people with fair skin, people who are redheads, for instance, which is a big risk factor for skin cancer, people that have had history of sunburns, people that live in environments where they're in the sun a lot, they're more at risk for skin cancer, but anybody can get skin cancer. And one of the dangers we see is that people with darker complected skin oftentimes have this false sense of security that they can't develop skin cancer. And so what we found, and studies have shown, that oftentimes they come later rather than earlier when they notice an abnormal lesion. And of course, the consequences of that are serious. They tend to have later stage melanomas. And so we want to reach out to those people and tell them, hey, if you see a mole that looks abnormal, if you see a skin lesion that wasn't there, that's changing, that's become symptomatic, you too can get skin cancer and you should have your skin checked.
And you say sometimes it's better to be safe than sorry. If you're seeing an abnormal growth on a patient, better to remove it.
Absolutely. You know, the good thing about skin cancer is it's curable. In fact, 99% of melanoma, the most dangerous type of skin cancer, is curable if it's caught early. So the key is to get it checked.
Now, is there a least dangerous form of skin cancer, or it's kind of it all stems from something?
Well, I think there's different skin cancers that develop from different types of cells in the skin. Classically, basal cell carcinoma would probably be the least dangerous of skin cancers in the sense that it's the least likely to metastasize or spread through the body. However, it can spread through the body.
So what am I looking at here with this image? What are we looking at home?
So you're looking at a pink-red crusted plaque or bump on the skin, if you will. And if you have a persistent lesion like that on the skin that wasn't there previously, and you can see that this is a very sun-damaged skin on top of it, there's a lot of blotchy pigmentation and
that's a giveaway, the blotchy skin, right?
Always a giveaway.
You can't hide anything from your dermatologist. Can we say that?
You can't.
You
can't. And you shouldn't try to, but the key thing is to prevent it. That's what we want you to do. We want you to start now to prevent it because you really can.
So this basal cell carcinoma, this is something that you would automatically have removed?
Well, I would have it biopsied. And once we had it biopsied, if it were a skin cancer, which it looks like it would be in that case, we would have it removed, yes.
Anything else you look for in mole abnormality besides this particular basal cell carcinoma?
You mean in terms of a particular skin cancer?
Yes.
Okay, so there's different types of skin cancer. So that's a basal cell carcinoma, but there's also squamous cell carcinoma, which is a skin cancer that develops from the squamous cells of the skin. And that one...
We're looking at that here.
That's an example of one. And those lesions, they can look different. They don't always look exactly like that. So I don't want you to kind of take this picture home and say, okay, that's what a squamous cell looks like. But they tend to form kind of a thick layer on top of them, something we call hyperkeratosis.
It looks like a mole.
Well, that one looks like a mole, but I think they don't all look quite like that. So I think Important thing when you have a rough, kind of thickened area of the skin, that can be a squamous cell carcinoma.
And individuals that have dark skin are more prone to this cancer, correct?
Right. Well, squamous cell carcinoma is more common in lighter skin patients, but but in darker complected patients, this is their most common skin cancer.
Okay, and where in the body does this normally develop?
Usually on sun-exposed skin. The squamous cell carcinoma most commonly develops on sun-exposed skin and on the lips, on the lower lip.
Really?
So if you get a sore on your lower lip, a bump on your lower lip that's not healing, that's something we want you to look at.
How do you treat that? So an area like a lip or a sun-exposed area, how do you treat this kind of cancer?
Well, it depends on the location of the skin cancer, the size of the skin cancer, and the histology, because different skin cancers can have different histologies, some being more aggressive than others. But generally, we either cut them out. Sometimes we do what we call a Mohs micrographic surgery, which is a microscopically controlled removal of the skin cancer so that we can remove it with the least amount of scar. And so we want to both balance getting the skin cancer out and creating the best cosmetic effect.
And as you said, it's better to have a tiny scar than death, which is
absolutely
sometimes what happens with skin cancer. And we're moving on to melanoma, the deadliest form of skin cancer. How can a tiny mole on your shoulder or leg be so deadly? Let's take an animated look into the body to see how cancer spreads from one mole to the organs.
All right, we're in it.
Malignant melanoma is a deadly form of skin cancer. It develops from melanocytes, which are pigment cells that produce the color in your skin. The cancer generally starts as a new or irregular mole.
I don't know, it looked like a little speck of mud. Everyone kept saying, you have something on your neck.
Cancer survivor Tracy Milcannon is lucky. Her melanoma was caught early. It did not go deep into her skin. You can see how doctors surgically remove melanomas and surrounding skin to make sure no cancer cells are left behind.
So if we catch it early, it's an easy treatment, and if we catch it late and it spreads to your lymph nodes and other organs, we don't have a good treatment for it.
At least not yet, says Dr. Leslie Christensen. Malignant melanoma is so deadly because it can spread deep into the skin beyond what you can see. If this happens, the cancer cells can migrate into your lymphatic system where vessels carry the cells to other parts of your body. Here, the cancer's moving to a lymph node. From there, the cells can travel to locations such as the lung. In addition to moving through the lymph system, cancer can also move the same way through your bloodstream.
This video hits home. I know that my father had a melanoma removed from his nose, and that was a little scary. And I want you to talk to us about the A, B, C, D, and E's of melanoma.
Very good. So I think it's really important to know your ABCDs. So when we look at a skin lesion, that we're concerned about, particularly when we're thinking about looking at a mole, a normal mole is symmetric, meaning that both sides look the same. When you have a lesion that's asymmetric, one side is bigger than the other, that's something that should clue us into potentially having a melanoma.
So we're looking for something that is not the same.
Right, it's not even. If you put a line through the center, both halves don't look the same.
Okay. Now the B's, border.
Okay. So benign lesions generally have a round, even border, but melanomas have an irregular border. That border can be just completely irregular, it can be what we call scalloped, or it could not be clear. It's not well defined. All of those things point out to the fact that we may be looking at a melanoma.
Now, C, color, is one that is very common, and I think it's one that we all know of the ABCDs of melanoma.
Correct. But, so most benign moles have an even color. They're one color. So when you have multiple colors in a mole, that can be problematical. Even sometimes moles can have no color, and they can be melanoma. That's called an amelanotic or no color melanoma. Those are very dangerous because we oftentimes, even as dermatologists, don't easily find them. So I think that those are anytime you have a lesion that is not evenly colored, or a new lesion that may have no color but just came up out of nowhere, that needs to get looked at.
Now, you often see dermatologists whip out, I'm sure you do that trusty ruler to start measuring these abnormal growths. So, diameter.
So generally, melanomas are greater than the diameter of a pencil eraser. Okay. However, sometimes they can be smaller. So I don't want to take this one as a definitive. I think that it's just not as big as a pencil eraser, so I don't need to bring it in. So I think that melanomas can be smaller, but in general, they tend to be bigger than that.
This one's an important one because, as you mentioned, sometimes they are smaller than a pencil eraser, and they grow. They begin to grow, and they evolve, correct?
Correct. So anytime you have a change That's something that really should alert you to get a lesion checked out. And that change can be that a lesion is growing, that a lesion is just changing color, that a lesion is becoming symptomatic. All of a sudden it's itching, it's burning, it feels uncomfortable, you're aware of it. Any change in an existing lesion should make you say, something's not right here, I need to get this checked out.
Now, before we go to break, I want to ask, how dangerous is melanoma if left untreated?
Well, melanoma is the most dangerous type of skin cancer because this is a lesion that, if left untreated, in all cases will grow and eventually metastasize or spread throughout the body into other organs. And of course, that's a very dangerous thing.
Absolutely scary things that we need to speak to our dermatologist about. And what we think is natural aging is in fact due to sun exposure and other factors. What are those other factors? Stay tuned to find out, and we're paying the price for that one now. You're watching the Health Channel, All Health, All the Time on South Florida PBS. Please visit our website, allhealthallthetime.com, where you can submit questions for the experts like Dr. Price or watch videos from previous episodes. And if you have a question for Dr. Price, give us a call now using the toll-free number, 855-796-4475. We would love to hear from you. Be right back.
You have heard about breast cancer, but do you know BRCA? BRCA stands for breast cancer susceptibility gene. Everyone has BRCA genes, but some women inherit BRCA genes that have a mutation or a change. Women with this genetic change have a greater chance of developing breast and ovarian cancer than other women. About 50 out of 100 women with a BRCA1 or BRCA2 genetic change will get breast cancer by the age of 70. CDC offers a confidential web tool called Know BRCA that women can use to learn their risk of having a BRCA gene mutation. Learning your risk for a BRCA gene mutation allows you and your doctor to make important decisions for your health. This may include genetic counseling and testing, enhanced screening, and other methods to reduce your risk of ever developing breast or ovarian cancer. Enter your family history, learn your risk, talk to your doctor. Visit knowbrca.org to find out more.
Smart.
Welcome back to All the Health Channel, All Health, All the Time. I'm Kathy Buccio. And as we wind down this hour's discussion with dermatologist Dr. Deborah Price with Baptist Health South Florida, we're going to find out how to slow down the aging process and what's the secret. And if you have a question for the doctor, please call using number 855-796-4475. Dr. Price, we were talking about those dangers of of the sun of melanoma left untreated. What is one of the most important things that you tell your patients when they go into your office?
Well, I tell them that the best treatment for skin aging is prevention. So I think it's really important for people to wear sunscreen on a regular basis and do sun protective activities, because it costs a lot more to correct damage that's occurred than to prevent it.
We have a graphic that actually shows us some of the other factors that contribute to aging skin. It's not just the sun. So talk to us a little bit about what some of those risk factors are.
So I think number one is the sun. So I think we can't ignore the sun. But I think the other things we need to think about are other activities that may increase our propensity to develop aging and you know, old-looking skin. So smoking is definitely one of them. An absolute no-no. It absolutely ages the skin, causes wrinkles around the mouth. Stress is a big no-no too, and I think stress hormones can create aging. That makes our skin age. It's not good for us. It's hard to manage, but I think it's important to understand the role it plays. Of course, early or surgical menopause plays a role. Estrogen plays a big factor in making our skin look more youthful.
Early or surgical menopause.
Right. So some people, either they go through menopause earlier in life, or because of health reasons need to have their ovaries removed, and those people are more susceptible to skin aging because their skin becomes more thin and more aged.
Wow. And now this one's not a myth, and I know we're going to get into it. Processed foods and soda.
Right.
How much does that have to do with our aging?
Super bad, super bad. So I think the key thing is that, you know, that anti-inflammatory diet, that Mediterranean diet is really not only healthy for our bodies, but it's healthy for our skin.
Right.
So sugars, processed foods and sugars, those sugars, that high kind of surge of sugar in our body actually ages our skin. Those sugars kind of bind to the collagen elastin in our skin and cause skin damage. So, you know, they're not good for your health overall, they're not good for your skin, and you really should try to favor a diet with fruits and vegetables.
So if we're craving that soda, skip it. Water.
Well, I think water's the best. I think everything in moderation is okay. But I think in general, the majority of your diet, if you're interested in skin health and in overall health, should be a diet that is rich in fruits and vegetables and all those things we know are good for us.
Absolutely, but antioxidants actually play a big factor in the fight against inflammation, and they have long been known to be a healthy addition to your diet that can actually slow the aging process. And Chief Wellness Dietitian at Baptist Health, Natalie Castro, explains why.
One of the best ways to reduce inflammation in our body is
guys,
by
I
the
didn't
foods
hear
that we eat.
The countdown
so
to
one
going
of
back.
the things that causes inflammation is processed foods, foods that are high in fats, foods that are high in sugars, for example. We're on the road a lot. We're trying to find that quick and convenience food, so foods that have been sitting on the shelves for a long time, things that are packaged and ready to eat. So instead, we want to try to bring back the plant-based foods, foods that are naturally found in the environment. They give you oxygen, so they reduce those free radicals. They're high in antioxidants, so they're full of vitamins and minerals that are very important to fight off that inflammation state that can occur in the body. The best way to get in those plant-based diets is, and especially when you're going shopping, is to stick to the perimeter of the store. Shop around the edges and avoid all that stuff in the middle where it's all the processed packaged foods that are ready to eat. And the best way to make sure that you're using your fruits and vegetables so that they don't go bad is planning your week's menu options of what you're going to be cooking and using the things that are going to go bad first so that you don't have a lot of waste at the end of the week.
Okay, so she mentions the soda, she mentions processed foods, and one of the things that she suggests is planning out your meal so that you can avoid some of those foods that can contribute to aging. Do you agree?
I absolutely agree.
Tell me why. I mean, let's touch upon how important that green plant diet you were talking about, water, how that contributes to healthier looking skin.
Well, I think we know that high sugar loads in the body and the kinds of processed foods that deliver high sugar to the body actually damages our collagen and elastin. And so I think that these other antioxidant foods both offer protection in the sense that they kind of fight free radicals, if you will, but at the same time, they don't give us that sugar surge.
Now, we can negate sleep. We love sleep, and sleep is good for our skin. Our skin loves sleep. Is this true?
Absolutely. Sleep is really important. Getting a good night's sleep is healthy for your body, but it's also incredibly healthy for your skin. You all know how kind of that night that you're up all night studying for exams and you wake up the next morning and your skin just doesn't look good, and you know, it's because our body needs sleep. Our cells need to rest.
Okay, fact or fiction? Sleeping on our side causes wrinkles. I have friends who say, no, I sleep on my back because the pillow will give me wrinkles and I don't want that.
I think they're right.
Actually, are they really?
Oh
right. My goodness.
Actually,
I take back all the time I make fun of you. Okay.
So I think the key thing is, I mean, not everybody can sleep on their back. I sleep on my back.
Okay.
But not everybody can sleep on their back. But if you're lucky enough to be somebody that can comfortably get a good night's sleep, if you're not going to sleep, that's not good. But if you can comfortably get a good night's sleep on your back, it's better for your skin. And so it's true.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Another one, we live in a city, it's a cosmopolitan city. Obviously, we encounter pollution.
Correct.
How does that affect our skin?
You know, pollution ages your skin. And so, and we're not suggesting that you move out of Miami or move out of any of these cosmopolitan cities, but you should be aware that living in a city where there's lots of pollution exposes you to pollution, and pollution is damaging to your skin.
Now, Dr. Price, you and I have learned about taking care of our skin, and I hope that one day I look as gorgeous as you.
Oh my God,
so if a patient comes into your office, what are you going to tell them? What are some of the tips that you can give our viewers at home how to take care of your skin starting now?
Well, I think the #1 thing that you can do, the best anti-aging skin ingredient, is sunscreen. So you have to wake up every morning, put sunscreen on, and it needs to go on your skin on a daily basis. It's not kind of this ad hoc thing that you use when you're going to the beach. Put it on every day. #2, you need to get a good night's sleep. I think that's important. #3, you need to eat healthy. You need to consider doing, I mean, stress is a difficult thing to control. We live stressful lives.
Absolutely.
But I think doing activities that can help us manage our stress, things like meditation, Tai Chi, these things are very helpful. And I think stress reduction is important for our overall health and for our skin health.
Now, before we wrap, medications, can they cause skin aging?
Well, certain medications can cause skin aging, certainly, but sometimes you need to take those medications. Right. Medications like steroids, medications like that can thin your skin and make your skin look older. Certain medications make you more sensitive to the sun, and by giving you the greater propensity to get a sunburn, those medications can also age your skin. But frequently you need those medications. So the thing that you can do, certain things you can't prevent, but if you can, for instance, if you're taking a medicine that makes you more sensitive to the sun, you avoid sun exposure, you use sunscreen. So there's certain things we can do to mitigate that.
Okay, I keep coming up with questions because I don't want to say goodbye, but what about something that's very common here in South Florida? We drive. Their left hand, this hand gets exposed to the sun. I have more freckles on this hand as well.
You do.
How can we avoid that?
Well, I think using UV film on the side windows, you know, cars frequently have a really good UV film in the front, but they don't have it on the side. So we can add film that protects our skin on the sides to our cars. In addition, wear sunscreen. The sun goes through the window. The sun goes through the window. So if you live in a house and you hang out next to the window, you're getting sun. If you're driving a car all day long and you're hanging out next to the window, we see more skin cancer on the left side of the face.
Really?
Absolutely. And we see more skin aging. If you kind of start to look at people, you'll notice.
I don't think you think of that. I don't think that I think people automatically think, because I know I do, I have a window there. It's a barrier.
No, it's not a barrier. It's not a barrier. UVA goes right through that window and it ages your skin.
Wow. So wear sunscreen.
Wear sunscreen.
Doctor's orders. Thank you so much, Dr. Price. It was such a pleasure having you here.
My pleasure.
That's all the time we have today. So thank you so much to Dr. Price for being here. And remember to visit our website, allhealthallthetime.com, where you can see videos of previous episodes, submit questions for the experts, or find out more about the Health Channel on South Florida PBS. I'm Kathy Buccio, and we'll see you next time.